All right, guys, there's a million different engine oils out there. Every car takes something different. Are you using the right stuff? We're here to figure it out. Let's get into it. So here's what we're gonna do in this video. You walk into a parts store, you walk into Walmart, walk into anything, here's what you're confronted with. A wall of engine oil. Well, what do you pick, right? How do you know which one to go for your car? Well, first of all, you need to look up, usually in your owner's manual, will tell you what is the weight that your car uses. It could have different weights for different temperatures outside. Make sure you take that into account. Find that weight spec first, and then you'll usually see something where it's got some type of other specification. If it's a Volkswagen, for instance, it might say VW 505, might say a 50501, 50500, 508, 509. These are different specs, right? So we want to be sure that we get an engine oil that is correct for that spec. And we're going to talk about that spec here, and we're also going to talk about what's the difference between meets the specification and recommended for the specification. So the first thing let's talk about is the weights, because that's a big one. If you walk in here and you just see, here is 0W20, here is 0W20, what else we got? We got 0W20 up here, right? You just go down the line here, you're gonna see tons of 020s. They're all over the place, right? Here's a 020. Are they all the same oil? They're all the same thing. Well, let's just take these two oils right here next to each other. Mobil 1, very similar. Yeah, the top is green. I'm gonna show you something about that in a second. If those two were sitting there without that top green, that's very, you see a little green here, there's a little difference, but if you're not looking, you might walk in here and think that's the same exact oil. It's not. I'm gonna go ahead and do these two first. If we look on the back, and I gotta put my glasses on because they don't make this stuff easy to read. It's pretty small, but you gotta be diligent at this. There's lots of different standards in the oil industries. ISLAC is an international standard, and API is the American Petroleum Institute, if I remember right. Now, if you look at the meets or exceeds the requirements of, and you'll see how it meets all that, and then you've got Chrysler listed here and Ford listed here in different specs. And then it says recommended by ExxonMobil for use in the application of this. That means that it hasn't, and then it's got a builder approval for GM, which means that it meets the spec for that. What it's saying here is, on this Chrysler, on this Ford, on this GM, those companies have approved this for their vehicles. They said, yes, this meets the spec. On this particular spec, which you see is pretty doggone close to that one, so you got to be looking close. This particular spec, ExxonMobil is saying it's good for it, not the manufacturer. I'm not saying it's not good for it. I'm saying that ExxonMobil is the one saying it's good for it, and it probably is. Be aware that the way these oil companies, the way the manufacturers and oil companies work is, when an oil company wants their oil to meet the specification, they generally have to pay the manufacturer to be able to say that. There was a big deal years ago when Dexos first came out, when the first Dexos oil came out for GM. It was a really big deal. I think it was some crazy number, like I want to say they wanted to charge like $1 a quart to the manufacturer. So like Valvoline said, we're not paying for your specification for you to say we meet your specification. It met it because later they did do it and it met it, and they didn't change the oil at all, my understanding. But they just didn't want to pay GM to be able to have it on their bottle. So just because you do want to look that it's at least recommended, you prefer that it says it meets or exceeds, but at least have it be recommended. A perfect example of that, so like these two oils right here look very close, and then if we see, that's Dexos D, and if we look at the spec on the back of this one compared to this one again, we can go down and we can see this one is approved, and it's got VW 508, 509, right? 229.71 for Mercedes, and this one, if we look on it, has got, where are we at here? Can't even see it on this one. Doesn't have any of that on this one, does it? No. So this one is for your European diesel, and this one's not. If we look on here, it says European car formula. So you might walk in here and say, I got a European car and I want 0W20, but this is for diesel. And you wouldn't know that. Now here's the kicker. These two, I tried to tell you the difference in them. The green top, basically the difference is the label. These are exactly the same oil, 100%. The only thing they changed is the label. So again, it can even get more confusing. Notice this one says advanced fuel economy, and this one says European car formula. Again, you got to stay on top of it. It's not just something as easy as walking in here and grab one off the shelf.
Yeah, if you got a Toyota Camry, you know that you're doing an oil service on it, it's easy to just come in here and
grab that one. I got 0W20 and throw it in the car.
Right.
Not right for it.
Yeah.
Not going to work for it. Talking about the approved and recommended. People swear by Amsoil. It's been around for a very long time. Amsoil doesn't play into the game of wanting to pay. It's my understanding, to wanting to pay for the recommendations or the certifications. So they don't. What they'll say on it is, using these applications that require this. Boom, boom, boom. Here you go. All right. So they list all the things that it will work for. Just be sure that it at least shows that these are going to be the specifications that Amsoil says it meets, right? So just be sure that your specification is listed here. All right, that's that. Here is 2 Castrol edges, Eurocar, unlock maximum performance. We all want that. This one says carbon neutral, 530, right? For Audi, VW, Mercedes-Benz. This one says Audi, VW, BMW, and Mercedes-Benz. Flip it over. And we can look on here. See, this has been here a little bit, right? We come over and we see that it supersedes. Supersedes is fine. And then you have your Mercedes-Benz approval, 22931, 22951, VW, 505, 50501, right? Come over on this one. You see it's got VW 502, 505, BMW or Mercedes 229.5, and then this has got BMW, this LL01, long life 01. And there's lots of different specs on that too. There's LL01, there's LL04, there's LL17, I think it's 17, something like that. So there's specs for this. So you want to be sure, especially the newer the car gets, that you're going to get the right weight, the right spec in the vehicle, and know that it is, at very minimum, that it is recommended by the oil manufacturer at the best. I would say the best. If it says it meets it, or it meets the requirements or anything like that, then you know 100% it's been tested by the manufacturer. Don't say that it's not good because it says recommended. I mean, then you would never use Amsoil, right? But it just means that the oil companies aren't paying to have that certification. That's how my understanding how this works. If you guys know something different, leave a comment down below. One thing you have to be very careful with, if somebody tells you, let me show you a very popular oil, been around forever and ever and ever and ever. 20W50, Castrol GTX 20W50, been around for decades, right? A great oil for what it goes in. I still hear of people that say, I am never putting a 0W8 in my car, ever. I always put 2050 in the car. Now, we could get into a whole conversation about 0W8, and I'm sure there's 016 up here somewhere. Where's the 016 at? Not over here.
It's there somewhere.
Here's a 016, right? You know, that was the precursor to 08. Here's 020, the precursor to 016. There's 030, the precursor to 020. We're getting lighter and lighter and lighter. It's for fuel mileage. Am I telling you that you couldn't get away with putting something different in there? I don't know. We don't try it. We don't take a chance with that. We do know that the passages are different in some vehicles. The variable valve train is very susceptible to different weight oils. There's a lot of TSBs out there for that. Do I agree with the 0W8? I don't know. I mean, I'm not that guy. I'd love to do some research on this and figure it out. There's a lot of oil channels out there. These guys dig deep into it. We're just not that channel. I will tell you that I would stick with what the manufacturer says. Number one, if it's under warranty, you have to stick to it. If you go in there and you stick 20W50 oil in your Toyota that calls for 0W8, I will assure you, when you go in for service, if there's a question about that or they want to see your receipts and it's got 2050 in it, they're probably not going to warranty that. So I say probably because I can't be sure of anything, but yeah, that's going to be a hard-pressed deal for them. So if you're under warranty, you need to use the proper weight for sure. I would recommend it all the time. I've used it in my cars. I use 020 in the cars that call for it. I use the, you know, whatever it calls for. I don't have a car that calls for 0.8. I don't have a car that calls for 0.16. But if it calls for it, it calls for it. 520, you know, back in the day when 520 first came out, everybody's like, oh my gosh, that's crazy. I'm not going to put 520 in it. Now we feel like 520 is like this thick oil compared to this. We missed this shelf over here. They've got some liquid moly oil, some great oil there for your European vehicles. Make sure it meets the spec because these two oils are not the same. Again, just like we're talking about. And while we're over here talking about full synthetics and we're talking about these oil that meet specifications, let me debunk an old wives' tale. We still have people that come in that say, oh, I don't want to put full synthetic in my car, or I have to have, you know, they think you can't go back and forth. If your car calls for full synthetic, you have to put full synthetic in it. If it doesn't call for full synthetic, you can decide to put full synthetic in it. And yes, you can go back to non-full synthetic if you want to. That's a very old wives' tale from back in the day when full synthetic oil first came out and it was a race oil and it didn't have the detergents and the additive packages that it has today. There's absolutely zero concern with going back and forth between full synthetic and standard. I would highly recommend you stick with full synthetic, but if for some reason you had to put, you know, if your car is a car that can take a standard oil, you can go back to it if you want to.
The biggest thing with all of this is attention to details. Don't
Yes.
come in here rushed and just grab the first bottle that you see that is the weight.
Yep.
Even with that, you know, with this one right here, where was it? The 530? With this
Yeah.
one right here.
Yeah.
Like that would be so easy to just see the Audi Volkswagen there and the Audi Volkswagen there and grab the wrong spec
Potentially the wrong
for the
spec oil.
Volkswagen.
Yeah.
You know, so
Yeah. And
Just pay
or come in
attention.
here and say, you know, I've got, you know, a Ford, let me get this 5W20 synthetic blend, and then I don't know, you know, it's a blend first of all, so it wouldn't meet full synthetic. But you might come in here and see synthetic, right? 520, grab it and go.
yep.
Just what we're saying is, if you're gonna do this stuff, just do a little research, find a brand that you like. They're all good brands. I mean, all of these oil companies, they're not making junk anymore. There's really no bad oils anymore. There was some way back in the 70s and 80s, you had some stuff happening, but today they're pretty much all good oil. Just pick a brand you like, find the spec, go online, do the research. They have the stuff out there. Sometimes it's not easy to find, but go find it, do the research, make sure it meets your spec, and then stick with that oil. Then it's easy. Then you walk in, you grab it, and you go, and then get your good oil filter too.
I do like how CarQuest does it here, where they actually go get the right oil filter for you based off of your application,
Yeah,
because it's easy to pick the wrong
as
oil
opposed
filter
to
too.
like places where you walk in and look up your own oil filter.
Yeah.
It might
yeah.
mess up. Yeah.
I like it. It's just a cool vibe to me
Yeah.
that it's like they're trying to do
More
this
helpful.
local store in here, and we like them.
Well,
a
this
lot
store
over
is
here.
actually locally owned too.
Yeah, they
So,
are. Yeah.
Brad's a great guy. So.
Yep.
Yep.
And thanks, Brad, for letting us film in here.
Yeah.
Some parts stores don't want that, so.
Some parts stores no longer welcome to film inside. All right, guys. Appreciate you guys watching. Hopefully this is helpful to you. Hopefully it's helpful to you to get through the navigation of this wall, or bigger walls than this even. We appreciate you guys watching. You know what to do. Hit that subscribe button, hit that bell notification, thumbs up, leave a comment down below. What oil do you guys like? What oil is your go-to oil that you like to use in your cars? I would love to know that, and share the video while you're doing it. Appreciate you watching. See you in the next one.